With this SCP, we shall finally reach the halfway point. This is the 5th one. We've been at this for an hour and 40 minutes. The second SCP was definitely at fault for being so goddamn long. But hey, it was still a good one. It was definitely a very good one. But now, the 5th one, Pond of Atrocities. Let's see what that one has to offer. But before we do that, you know what I'm about to say. Secure the subscribe button, contain the like button, and protect the comments section. Because we're going in. We're going in. It's nice and short too. That's nice to see. Our first save, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Except for approved experimentation, it is forbidden to observe SCP-1464 on the natural lighting during the time period between sunset and nautical twilight, and during the time period between nautical dawn and sunrise. Any research into... Is my box over there? Yes, it is. Any research into the properties and contents of SCP-1464 during these time periods must be conducted under 1000 watt lamps providing full spectrum illumination. 35 square kilometers surrounding SCP-1464 have been purchased by Foundation via Front Company and serve as a interdiction zone. Civilians are to be dissuaded with the cover story of limnological research. The airspace above interdiction zone surrounding SCP-1464 is restricted. Satellite imagery of the interdiction zone is to be intercepted and modified so that the direct images of SCP-1464 do not become public. There's something blocking me. Here we go. SCP-1464 is a body of water in the forests of northern, redacted, approximately 82 hectares in size. When viewed under lighting conditions corresponding to dawn or twilight, SCP-1464 is a cognito hazard. Affected subjects experience... Welcome to Fluff, Spagal. I hope that's how you say your name. Welcome to Fluff and welcome to the SCP reading. We're reading the 5th one. God, my neck. Something's off with my back today. Where was I? Affected subjects experience highly detailed false memories of having participated in ritual crimes at the site of SCP-1464. At some point in the past, all affected subjects express intense remorse and guilt at having participated, regardless of whether this is compatible with the psychological profiles. Describe the ritual as having concluded with a victim or victims being submerged within SCP-1464. Claim that the ritual was necessary in order to prevent what is effectively an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario, and say that the ritual was incorrectly performed and must be repeated. I see. Okay. Let's read on. I wonder what the second paragraph probably has a bit more. The precise nature of the ritual described by affected subjects varies depending on the number of parameters, including but not limited to the density of foliage on surrounding trees, the presence of floating debris, and greater than 1 meter modification to SCP-1464's coastline. See document T17 for a full list of known parameters. Since coming to the attention of the Foundation, the parameters regulating SCP-1464's anomalous effect have undergone natural changes sufficient to result in a new configuration 85 times. As well, a new configuration have resulted from deliberate experimentation 25 times, and from accidental modification 3 times. This thing is just never always changing, never staying the same. Okay, all subjects exposed to SCP-1464 under a given configuration describe the same ritual as well. Subjects share an anomalous awareness of each other's existence, such that if 3 separate subjects are exposed to a given configuration and then interrogated separately, they will all report that the ritual involved 3 participants and will be able to corroborate each other's stories. Details of the ritual range from the plausible, the slaughter of 9-year-old children at 9 a.m. on the 9th day of the 9th month, 1999, to the nonsensical. That was not nonsensical already. That's that. Oh god. The rape and strangulation of a green 1978 Volkswagen Beetle on the 56th day of June 1974. What? Well, at least it's a car. Still weird, but at least it's a car. At no time has any subject expressed cognitive dissonance regardless of how incompatible the described scenario is with reality. So they will get a ritual like that and just be like, that sounds reasonable. That sounds like something I can do. You want me to strangle a car? I can. That's no problem. I thought you'd never ask. Finally, these two hands are gonna do what they were meant to do. Easy. Yeah, it's just. You better save a spot on the first place, because I'm gonna get it done in record time. Underwater exploration and sonar analysis of SCP-1464 have not revealed any of the submerged objects described by affected subjects, nor do missing persons report and reports of livestock theft correspond to any of the rituals described. However, in approximately 30% of cases, the scenarios which the rituals are allegedly intended to prevent correspond to worst-case extrapolations involving known SCPs. Oh, of course. This thing might be like, hey, look at SCP-096's face. And you're like, ha! No problem. Actually, that would be a problem, because I don't think the Foundation would just let you walk in and just look at his face. But yeah, I can imagine that this thing would try to start some shit with the other SCPs. Samples of water and aquatic biota from SCP-1464 have not been found to be anomalous. Well, that ain't that fantastic. Ain't that peachy. Alright. We got a little... I love that. Okay, I understand now the atrocities. It's basically asking for you to do atrocities. It's asking for you to do horrible stuff for it. It doesn't contain it. It's asking you to do stuff like that. That makes sense. That makes sense. So Spargel? I'm going for Spiegel. Spaghetti. I've only heard like 5 stories from, I think he was called Walken or something like that. Pretty stuff. Okay. So are you pretty new to the SCP Foundation? I always want to say I'm new too, but I've been reading 1,464 SCPs plus like 30 joke SCPs. I don't know much about SCP, but I've read a few of Lovecraft's stories, and I've heard that it's heavily influenced. Yeah, some of them are. SCPs can range vastly from like being either very horrifying to being really funny to being tragic to being just weird. So at the end, like, for example, the ones I read today, Dreamwalker is the first one. That was about a man that is in a coma, has been in a coma for 8 years. It still is. But people believe that he isn't anymore. That his physical body is out and about, walking, well, not talking that much, but walking around, interacting with people, doing his job, living at home, so on and so forth. Even though his physical body is still comatose, just knocked out in the bed. Then we had House of the Worm, which was all about a man coming fresh out of the war, believing that there's this monster that will attack the world. So he built a safe home, but then he thought that the safe home was meant to contain the worm, and then found out that the worm took over the safe home to basically manipulate everybody into such an like physical extent and mental extent, that now all the people that followed him, because he kind of gained like a cult, became like, had like dog-like behaviors. Like they had sharp metallic teeth and claws, started like attacking each other. And he realized at the end that the worm was never a real thing. He was the worm, but the house is still like warped. It's still like all the architecture is fucked, and there are multiple levels of like machinery and factory-like architecture. That's the second one I read. And that sounds like through and through. Exactly, yeah. That's one good example of where like Lovecraft can definitely be taken into consideration. But then there's like renewable energy source, for example, which was a virus that, like, well, it's a virus now, but before it was supposed to be a solution for fuel, where like they would be able to make plants that have petrol in it. Like the liquid in the plant is not the juice, it's petrol. But now it's a virus that floats around, and flora and fauna get infected by it. All of the natural fluids become petrol. So the animals, of course, are highly sensitive to that, and they don't deal well with it, and a lot of the plants combust sometimes, so there's stuff like that. And then we had comprehension, invasion, and innovation, which is a bit more complicated from what I understand. It's basically the moment you understand the SCP, it becomes real and will try to attack you. So that all you can do is distract yourself and walk away and try to run away while distracting yourself. You basically have to make your mind think of something else. It's kind of like the whole it's kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street type of deal. Like the moment you know about it, the stronger it gets. And now we read Pawn of Atrocities. Yeah, a pawn that just asks you to do random horrible shit. So yeah, this is we read halfway through, and just for your information, Sparkle, I'm also gonna upload each individual SCP that I read in its own video to my YouTube channel called Dr. AfroFluff, which is not down. It's not below in my about section. I need to actually add that because the only YouTube section I have there is my first channel. I need to add the second channel as well. I was the one with. What's the one that was with symbols only? That was pretty neat. Symbols only. I'm not sure if I read that one yet. I'm going down the numerical line. I'm reading 10 SCPs Saturday, Sunday. And I started reading them in 2020. And I started like recording them 2021. Then live streaming a couple of months later. So I saw, okay. Yeah, the one, I think that's like way later down below. But yeah, I'm just, it's a collaborative literature project, right? So there's no authority. Is it all in some way, like ratings or something like that? There are ratings, like right here. Like, people rate how much they like it. But I personally have found that ratings don't really influence how good an SCP is to me. I mean, at the end, I enjoy every single one of them. Because that's who I am as a person. I can criticize an SCP, but I still find ways to have a good time with it. But yeah, there are, of course, SCPs that are higher rated, which are more popular. Like 096 is one of the ones. 682 is another one that's really popular and highly rated. And those are probably the ones you may have seen or heard about the most as well. Or like 173 as well. That 173 was one of the first SCPs, from what I understand, which is the statue. That's the one where you like have to constantly look at it, because if you look away or if you blink, it will break your neck in an instant. Finding enjoyment in everything is a very good trait to have. Good for you. Thank you. Because at the end, like a lot of media is meant to just is there for enjoyment's sake. Of course, it can also be artsy. Yeah, that one was made into a game. I remember that exactly. So, yeah, at the end, if you ever check out Dr. AfroFluff on YouTube, I'm uploading each individual SCPs now on there daily. So, the ones that we're reading now will come down the line in the early July, I think, if I recall correctly. But you can check some SCPs I read already on there, and all the other one that I uploaded in bulk way before on my original channel. But also, you can just stay on this stream with me and just experiencing this SCP together.